beautiful makeup lovers, thank you so much for tuning in with me today, and a very warm welcome to this video with the Spectral palette from Linda Hallberg. We're gonna be discussing a little bit of infos on the palette, like price, shipping, etc. I'm also gonna insert you some swatches in this section. Then we're gonna do together this look that I have on my eyes currently, and in the end I'm going to share a couple of thoughts with you that I have on this palette so far. It's not really a first impression because I did use the palette twice before today, before I did this look, and so it's not really first impression, not really a review, so something in between, I guess. As always in this kind of videos, I'm going to leave you some timestamps down below so you can find your way to the part of the video that interests you the most a little faster. And I think that's all I wanted to say, so let's get started. So this is the Spectral palette from Linda Hallberg. I'm sure you have seen it by now. This is the packaging, the actual palette, but the palette itself comes in this kind of cartoon, which looks like exactly the palette, like this. And you can see there's nothing like that's on the cartoon that's not on the palette except of the barcode maybe, and therefore you don't really need to keep the cartoon if you don't want to. And the palette itself has this really beautiful artwork. In the back it tells you, a little bit of an advertisal text, and then the ingredients, that it's vegan and all this fast, so not really important, but I wanted to mention it. And inside it does look like that. It does have one of those plastic sheets. And then this is the actual palette. It has 8 shades and pretty big pans. And then you also have a mirror here, pretty decent size one, so I can totally use that one to do looks with this palette. And then you have, as I said, 8 shades. Then you have 4 mattes, which are Unknown, Phantom, Occult, and Airy. And then you have 2 kind of shimmery, like more light shimmery shades, which are Dim and Faint. And then you have Abstract, which is a more duochrome topper shade, I would say. And then you have pretty much a pressed glitter. It's not really a pressed glitter, but it's straight up glitter somehow, is the color Illusion. So that's the palette. I'm going to insert you some swatches now so you can also see a little bit how the palette looks like if you swatch it out, even though swatches don't really tell you a lot, I think. But I feel you have a lot of different textures to play with in this palette. You have a variety of different shimmer finishes, so that's always pretty nice, I think. And then you have 4 pretty matte mattes. Okay, a lot of people have been saying that this looks very similar to the Creepy Cute palette, so I'm also going to insert you a swatch comparison between this palette and the Creepy Cute palette, so you can see that there is no similarity in the shades whatsoever. Maybe the shade Phantom, the turquoise shade, the matte one, pulls a little bit into the direction of being like one of the shades from the Creepy Cute palette, but it's definitely not a dupe or anything. So I think a lot of people associated this because this is a pastel palette, but like Strobe Cosmetics doesn't really hold the right to make pastel palettes, so I think it's fine if another brand does this. And yeah, so far I don't think that there's any similarities besides both having this pastel vibe. This palette retails on the Linda Hallberg website for 58 euros. I'm going to insert on the screen how much it retails in US dollars. And if you reach the threshold of 80 euros, I believe, then you get free shipping within the European Union or Europe. And if you reach the threshold of 100 euros, you get $100, sorry, you get a free shipping to the US, or where you pay with US dollars. And yeah, so I think that's reasonable. I did pay the shipping because I didn't want to pick up anything else at the moment, so I paid 5 euros for shipping, which is nothing, honestly. So that's pretty good. You can also buy this on Beauty Bay, and I think in the Nordics you can buy it in a shop called Kicks or something like this. I'll link those down below, like Linda Hallberg website, Beauty Bay, and this Kicks thingy. So doesn't matter where you are, you can find your fastest way to it. I think that's all I wanted to say about the palette. Oh yeah, it's vegan. So if this is important to you, you can go ahead and buy it. No animals were harmed or in making this, while making this, and no animals are in it, which is also pretty nice. And yeah, so let's get into this look now, how I created it, and then I'm going to meet you for the thoughts that I have on the palette. First, I'm going in with the color Airy, and I'm using it on a fluffy blending brush to build up slowly my crease, just taking my time to build up the color. Then I'm going into the color Occult, and on a smaller fluffy blending brush I'm building up my outer V to darken it up, and I'm pulling the shade pretty much far into my movable lid, as you can see. Then I'm going back again with the color Airy, and on a dense blending brush I'm packing it on the part of the movable lid that hasn't been filled out with the color Occult yet. Then I'm going in with a glitter glue that I just pretty much put all over my lid. And then I'm going in with the color Abstract, and on a dampened flat brush I am putting it all over my lid except of the very outer part. Then I'm going in with the color Phantom that I'm putting here all over my lower lash line. And I think I forgot to film how I deepened up the outer part of my lower lash line with the color Occult as well, which is the dark matte of the palette. Then I'm going in with the color Dim, and on a dampened brush I'm putting this as my inner corner highlight. Then, after adding some liquid liner, some mascara, and also a kind of pastel minty green crayon in my waterline, this is the finished look. I hope you like it. And I'm gonna zoom you in now a little bit closer so you can see what's going on. This is the look closed up, and I just wanted to touch on the Phantom color, the one that's in my lower lash line, the kind of mint green. I know it doesn't show up here the best, but in another look I did use it in my crease and it was pretty beautiful. I'm going to touch on this in the next part of the video as well. Okay, you saw me doing this look. Now let's speak about the palette a little bit. So I do have some thoughts on the palette already, but as I said, it's a preliminary, do you say it like this? Preliminary review. Like, I don't really review it, I just let you know how I experienced the first 3 times using this. So the look I did today did come together a little bit struggling, I gotta tell you, which is mainly due to the color Occult. I'm gonna call it Occult. Which is pretty difficult to keep the pigment, like, because it's the only dark matte, it's a little bit difficult to keep it dark. It loses really quickly its pigment, so you really have to pack it on to make it work. And if this is not your thing, I don't think you're gonna be super happy with the color Occult. But I can make it work because I don't mind to pack on my shadows a bit more, but I wish it would come along a little easier. I want to speak also about the color Phantom. I put that on my lower lash line today, which is barely visible. But I don't think that this look does the color justice. I did use this one also in the crease in another look that I did, so on an unsetted primer, and that turned out really beautiful. So I think the main reason why it doesn't really show up today is because I didn't put down a primer on my under eyes. I never do that. So if you maybe want to use this mainly on your lower lash line, maybe that could be a problem, because I always set my concealer with powder. But if you don't do that, for instance, I don't think you will have that problem with not showing up intensively enough, because if you put this on an unset primer, it shows up pretty intense and pretty nice. As well, these 2 colors here, Unknown and Airy, they perform really well. I don't have any problem at all with them. Especially Airy, I find pretty nicely pigmented, which is really cool. By the way, I'm really sorry if you hear my dog showing on his bone. That's just how I have to keep him happy during filming. Anyway, so the mattes, except of Occult, I really like them. I had a good time with them so far. I don't think I'm gonna run into any major issues with them, but I'll update you if anything changes around that. So with the shimmers, you do have faint and dim, which are not like your most opaque shimmers. Like you could see it in the swatches maybe, that they are more like this not iridescent, but like more like soft, a little bit sheerer shimmers that are more meant for the inner corner, or you can also use them actually in your crease. I did one look where I used faint in the crease, and that was really beautiful. You can totally use them there, so the whole palette has a little bit of more options for you with what you can do with your crease. That's really nice. I didn't do that with dim yet, but I imagine it turns out just as beautiful. So yeah, these two, I like this, but a lot of people I know, they're really into the super metallic foiled shades, then these are not gonna be for you. I personally like this. I personally like to have different textures of shimmer in a palette and different options of shimmer finishes. So I do like it, but I know it's not everybody's cup of tea. And then we have here Abstract, which is the duochrome that I have on my lid here. And this one I really, really love. It's really similar, in my opinion, from the texture and how opaque it is and how it performs, to the Enchanted Secrets palette from Linda Hallberg. So in case you have this, you know more or less what to expect here. But this shade is not there. It's just the kind of how this shade works is similar to those. So I do enjoy this one. I think it's really beautiful with the blue, purple duochrome. You can always get me out of the corner. I love those. So especially together, like how I did it today with the pink, that's just what I like. And yeah, so the only one, Illusion here, it's a pressed glitter almost, but very finely milled, I would say. So I do recommend you using a glitter glue or some adhesive to make this work, and with a wet brush to prevent a lot of fallout, because if you use this dry, I believe you're gonna have a lot of fallout. I did not use it dry. I straight up went with glitter glue and with a wet brush in, so I don't know if it would have a lot of fallout if you use it wet, but I saw in some other reviews. What is the dog doing? So I saw in a lot of reviews, not a lot, I saw a couple of other reviews on this palette, or a couple of first impressions where people had problems with this one having a lot of fallout when you use it dry. I cannot say something about it, but I can really imagine it. So I don't mind to use a shimmer shade like this, so really I don't care, because that's how I use my shimmers most of the time anyway, but just a heads up in case you mind. So all over, I'm pretty happy. I really love the color selection of this palette. I think it's a really beautiful composition. I am a bit concerned about the color Occult, and I don't think I will reach a ton for Illusion. It's just not the kind of shade that really gets me going. So I think these two shades are not as much as my thing, but I have to play with Occult a little bit more to see if it's just maybe the brushes, or I don't know. Like, maybe it's just not that good of a shade, I don't know. It's a pity that it's the dark shade, because it's the only dark shade you can darken up your crease with, and I really like to do this usually. So yeah, I don't know. Let me know if you have this palette, and if you have any kind of suggestions how to make this one work a little better. But besides this one not working so well, and this one not being so much my thing, like besides that, objectively, it does perform well in my opinion, but it's just not as much my thing. All the others, I really love them. I'm happy I bought this palette. I really love Linda Hallberg, and I'm really happy that she came up with something that colorful finally. So yeah, I don't know. I think I'm gonna have a good time with this palette. I don't think this will be my favorite product from Linda Hallberg ever. And it's really hard to beat her crayons, which are my favorite product from her. So this was a good attempt, but it's not going to be my favorite product from her. So, but I still gonna grab for it. I do see myself grabbing this, especially for these free mattes, like especially this corner here, honestly, like this one. And these two shimmers, I also do like them, especially in the crease. Try it, it looks really beautiful. Don't be afraid of shimmers in the crease. So let me know in the comments down below if you picked up this palette, or if you're planning to, how you experienced it, or what, you know, what intrigues you about it, or what doesn't intrigue you about it. So let me know all these things, let's chat a bit, and also please give this video a thumbs up if you like this kind of videos. Please consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already, so we can see each other in the next video. Bye bye!